Hi, this is Ashley K. I recently did a video on my mining setup. This video concerns network design, how to better set up your network in such a way that you can monitor and manage your miners from anywhere in the world. I'll be using an app called iXplain to draw and talk at the same time. None of the content that I'm about to share, products, services, is not sponsored. I'm not getting paid to do this video. I'm doing it for the sole purpose of helping people break down the barriers between not mining and getting into mining. So we all need to make this easy for us. So let's get started. Okay, let's set the scenario. So over here on the right, you have your local network at your house or business or wherever it's at. On the left, you have the WAN. You're on the internet. And what we're trying to solve is how do you monitor and manage your miners from anywhere in the world? So out in the world, here you are, you've got your phone, you've got your PC, and these two are connected to the internet. And then somewhere on your local network are your miners. So I'll just draw a bank of L3s. And so today what happens is if you've just started mining, your L3s are connected to some kind of pool like ANT pool or F2 pool or via BTC. And that pool is connected to the internet. And so the only thing that you can see is the pool's side of your mining. So we want to take that one step further, improve our network so that we can better monitor and better manage our miners. So let's start drawing some more. We're going to draw a connection from the internet over to our network. And this hits your modem, represented this box with an M. And most internet service providers provide you a modem. It's all in one, wireless router, firewall. They try to put everything into one box, and that's fine for most people because that's all they need. But for our miners, we want to take it one step further. And so what I suggest is behind the modem, you have a router shown by this R, and I'm going to draw these lines representing ports on the router. And the router that I use is a Linksys router, and it does three things for me very, very nicely. And I want to make sure you get a hold of this. So the first thing that this router does is dynamic DNS or DDNS. And for those of you that don't know, dynamic DNS allows you to not have to have a static IP on your local network, but you can still reach your local network through a friendly name like ashleyk.com points to my local network. And so now with this, I can now get to my network through this dynamic DNS friendly name. But it's not good enough just to have a way to get to my router and get to my network. I need to be able to land on the router and land on the network. So this router also has another capability, which is fantastic. It is got VPN. And so now I can safely and securely get from over here and now land as if I'm sitting on my network and I'm transmitting data securely. Now, the third thing that the router does is we will draw a switch. And this switch represents what the miners are going to connect to in just a second. This router will take one of these ports and connect it to the switch. What this router does is QoS, quality of service. This allows me to prioritize the traffic on that port specifically over all the traffic on my network. So even if my kids are watching YouTube or playing Minecraft or streaming Netflix or whatever the heck it is, no matter what the bandwidth is, no matter what the speeds are, my miners are going to get the QoS. They're gonna get priority. Okay, so there are other devices connected on my network, but for the sake of this argument, the modem here and the router here are somewhere in the house, and then the switch is out in the mining rig. So we'll say in rig. And this switch is just a simple unmanaged switch, nothing fancy. If I had a bigger operation, I would have managed switches and some more things not on this picture. So it has a bunch of ports, and those ports connect to the miners, providing them the data that they need over Ethernet because miners don't do wireless. So with this all said, we've now got a great setup where you can get from the internet to your local network and manage your miners. Maybe the pool is reporting lower hash rates. Maybe it doesn't see a miner. This allows you to get on your network and see what's happening. However, let's take this one step further. We're going to take this one step further. We're going to draw this little box right here. This is going to represent a dedicated computer, which for me is a desktop. Okay. So the role of this desktop is to be connected to my network at all times for the sole purpose, and let's change colors here. The sole purpose of this desktop is to take these miners, monitor those miners, and report that information back to Awesome Miner. And Awesome Miner is connected to the internet. And so the fantastic thing about this desktop is that it'll tell me, power, temperatures, it'll send text notifications. But the key thing that you can do on a daily basis while you're out or doing your job is that you can go to the Awesome Miner dashboard and you can see what the miners are outputting and how they are hashing. And then you can also go to the pool and see what's happening on the pool. So now you've got both sides of the story. And if I can make my case for Awesome Miner, it's a firmware that goes on the miners itself, and then the desktop also has a monitoring software from Awesome Miner. And so those things work really, really well together, and it reports up to a cloud service. And yes, it is paid, but it is well worth paying for it. And by accessing my network, I don't have to go to the miners individually down here. I just have to go to this desktop and see what's happening with those miners. And from there, I can do a whole bunch of things. I can change pools. I can change hashing speeds. I can change settings. You name it. I can do it from that desktop. So I'd highly recommend looking at Awesome Miner. I think HiveOS does something very similar. But either way, this is a very simple network setup. So before I close it, let me do one more thing. I'll change colors here. So to talk about some products that'll be in the description, the modem is coming from your ISP, so you don't have a whole lot of control over that. The router that I use is a Linksys router. It's fantastic. For a switch, you can't go wrong with anything like Cisco, but TP-Link will work just fine too. Just check on it. It may, check on them like you would your normal stuff. Your desktop, it doesn't really matter what kind it is. I have a micro desktop that I'll share that's it's called an M90, and it runs full-blown Windows. And then the L3s are Obviously they're Bitmain, and they're running the Awesome Miner firmware. That's the paid version of the firmware. Over here on the DDNS side, my preference is no IP, and VPN, OpenVPN has a fantastic free product. And if you buy this particular Linksys router, it acts as an open VPN server or gateway. So those two things work really well together. That's all integrated nicely. And then Awesome Miner is from awesomeminer.com. And the pools that I use, that I tell a lot of people, I use via BTC and Poolin and Litecoin pool. And so my preference today, so this is the end of November. Right now, I'm all in on Litecoin pool because there are some things in China happening with them trying to take down the mining. So I'm going with Litecoin pool until I find something else. So I hope this rudimentary, messy drawing helps you design your network in such a way that you feel comfortable with your machines and being away from them and being able to manage them while you're away from them. So thank you.